Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
A very good evening or a very good morning, depending where you are. Welcome to Corvinus University of Budapest webinar on the Hungarian Diaspora Scholarship. Talán magyarul is köszönhettem volna, de ennek a webinárnak a kedvéért most inkább angolul fogunk beszélni. We'll stay with English for the purposes of this presentation because from what I gather, not all diaspora applicants necessarily speak our language yet. My name is Marianne Baker. or for short, Mari Baker. I'm head of international student recruitment and admissions at the university, and I have with me two diaspora students who are currently studying at the university, and I want to invite you to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi guys, my name is Jennifer Vacha. I'm currently a master's student. I'm studying marketing. It's my second year here, and I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Wonderful.
Hi, my name is Andrea Gavitalitello, and I come from Colombia, and I'm studying a BA. It's my final year in international relations.
Thank you very much indeed, Jennifer and Andrea. Thank you for helping me out with this presentation, which I prepared not so much about the program itself as such, because I think that the best and most detailed information that you can get is actually from Tempus, the Tempus Foundation directly, the Hungarian foundation and body that manages the diaspora program. There is a fantastic and very long document where you can find out the exact requirements, the documents that you need. We would rather like to speak about life at Corvinus and the programs that we offer and the Corvinus specific expectations and requirements that you need to meet along the way. And of course, both Jennifer and Andy can help me with some real life first-hand information as to what it was like going through the process. So with that, let's start the presentation. In this first opening slide, you can actually see a third diaspora student who is currently studying at the university. His name is Chris. I don't know what program Chris is studying on, but he volunteered to work with us on some photo shoots. I don't know if you know Chris, girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Small community.
So he didn't volunteer to join me in the webinar, but he preferred to volunteer for the photo shoots, which, by the way, is one of the things that you can do here. We are always looking for students to help us in our various projects relating to communications. In the background, you can see, first of all, the bridge, Liberty Bridge. Perhaps you visited Budapest as a child, or perhaps you still come to Budapest regularly. I find that with a lot of diaspora students, that's something that you do. You may well know the bridge. And of course, the building in the background is our main building. That was built initially as a customs exchange center. So it was not purpose-built to be a university, although as you walk through the amongst the walls, you can't actually sense that this was not meant to be a university. I don't know if you agree with me, girls, but it does feel like a very traditional university building. Okay, well, if we move on, one of the most important statements that I always make as a recruiter to students who are thinking about joining us is that we are Hungary's leading university in business, economics, management, and social sciences. this is what we do. There are, of course, many other universities and great universities in Hungary and in Budapest. And some of them are huge organizations where you will find a lot of faculties and a lot of different opportunities to study various subjects. But when it comes to business and when it comes to economics, it may well be offered elsewhere, but this is where we really shine, as we are one of the most coveted universities by many Hungarian applicants, and increasingly amongst international students too. Now, as part of this presentation, we also want to talk a little bit about the university's mission and vision and values. Since the summer of 2024, we have a new rector who came to us from a Belgian university in Brussels, and he set out a very ambitious, very forward-looking agenda of internationalization and development. And as part of this initiative, he formulated, together with the university community, a very clear mission and vision that you can see here and on our web pages too, when you want to explore this. On the next slide, you will see the key values that we like to emphasize, that here there will be a lot of emphasis on collaboration, where you have to work together with your peers on many projects as part of your studies, part of your case studies, part of competitions often, and systems thinking so that you can operate in a way that takes into consideration many different angles, many different perspectives, and find connections between complex systems. Excellence, I already hinted to this, leading university, very talented students. Hungarian students, by the way, make up about 80% of our student body currently, and about 20% of our students come from abroad. I don't know if you perhaps want to comment on where your peers are from in the classrooms that you attend. Do you want to start, Andy?
Sure. As an international relations major, I have a lot of people coming from different countries. There's several scholarships in Hungary, and a lot of them come from Asian countries, from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey, from China as well. I have a few classmates from some African countries, for example, from South Africa, Nigeria. So it is pretty wide international. That's what I really like, mainly in my major, that gives like a major scope of the people that's focused on. So I really like that.
What about in your context, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think it's nice because you're working with local Hungarians who have born and raised in Hungary, and then you have like a very international class setting. I think there's quite a few Americans and Canadians in the diaspora program, but really I would say that they're from all over, almost every continent, I think.
Okay, thank you. I think it's important to emphasize that, yes, so we welcome students through the diaspora program, but also through the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship, of course, as self-funded students, and yes, our Hungarian student body. But in relation to the diaspora scholarship, it's very important to state that this is for students who have Hungarian origins, which they can document and show, and connections in their home countries with Hungarian organizations. So I can see in the comments that there might be people following this information session who are perhaps not of Hungarian origins, in which case it may well be that the Stipendium Hungaricum is better suited to your needs. We also have a presentation about that on Thursday. You can find the details on our website. Now, in terms of the Diaspora Scholarship, like I mentioned, the best information is on the Tempus website, and you will find there exactly which countries qualify. If you are someone of Hungarian descent growing up in specific countries, you can actually look up there whether that country is included or not. Final value listed here is integrity. Of course, to operate in today's business world, it's also something that we want to equip you to be able to do. If we move on, I mentioned that the building goes back to probably the end of the 1800s, and then the university found its home in this building in the 1920s. And I don't want to go on about the building. The fact that the university has been in place since 1920, that is a significant point to emphasize, because there is a very prestigious academic tradition here. So if you are looking to join us, that is the kind of community you are joining. But of course, you need to be aware that we have not just the tradition, we also have an awful lot of innovation. We have not just modern buildings and facilities, but really state-of-the-art studios for certain studies, and innovative ways of working. You will see pictures of other buildings and facilities in future slides. In this slide, what we want to emphasize is our accreditations and the prestigious networks that we are part of. So this is something that you want to consider when choosing a business-focused university. And not everything is listed here, by the way. The website is a much better way to fully inform yourself just how rich the portfolio is. But we mention here AACSB and AMBA. These are two important accreditations that we are proud of. And perhaps I'm not sharing a secret if I tell you that we are also working towards EQUIS accreditation. And that's important to the university and its future, but it's also important to you as students, because it will increase the value and the currency of the degrees that you take with you. And this is, one of the objectives of the current rector of the university, to really put us up there with the most prestigious and well-known universities, not just in our region, but in the entire Europe and globally, frankly. I also want to mention the SEMS network, which started out as a European network and then became a global network of universities where there are some really interesting mobility opportunities for students for internships, semesters abroad, at very high-profile partner universities in Australia, in Singapore, in Europe, or in the United States. So I want to encourage you to, again, check those details on our website. And yes, this is where my heart melts every time we get to this slide when we present, because yes, the university is special and what we do is special, but the city, hey, the city is super special. And this is where I want to hand over a little bit to the students as well, to perhaps talk about their experience over the years. Who wants to start?
I can go.
Go for it.
So Budapest is a lovely city. If you've never been before, it is truly magical with the river passing through the middle, dividing Buda and Pest. You have the mountain range from Buda, and also the lively, like the life and the music and the culture, mostly on the Pest side. But overall, I think it's a great environment for a student. And in general, there is a lot of universities as well in the city center. So it makes the student life very livable and amazing.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Jennifer?
Yeah, I would also say one of the best things about Budapest as a student is the public transportation. So like I haven't been to another place in the world, honestly, where there's better public transportation. And as a student, as a diaspora student, you're covered for a Hungary pass, which gives you access to travel within Hungary and explore what the country has to offer.
Great points. Thank you very much. And yes, there are also business factors here to consider, because this city is a key business hub in the region with a very high number of multinationals, some of whom, quite a few of whom, actually support our work. And you will see a slide about that separately very shortly. It's also home to many innovative startup companies, many of whom actually germinated here within these walls at the university, because we are aware of many, many successful alumni stories. If you check our website for this topic, or if you go on YouTube and check out our alumni videos, there are some serious stories there from previous students who created wonderful and great enterprises, some of which may have started small but have grown to be significant businesses and well known in the country or the region. Yes, you spoke about the cosmopolitan and vibrant atmosphere. The fact that English is widely spoken, I think, is also important. And it is regularly voted as one of the favorite cities by students in Europe. So I mentioned how important the presence of multinational corporate businesses is in the city. And what I also want to emphasize is that our university leadership is very proactively looking for these links to give our students the best chance to gain an insight into how these companies operate, to get internships, to get opportunities for case studies. I very often speak to students, and I often hear them talk about just you know how interesting the case studies and the challenges are that are put to them from these companies, through these companies. And you know, it is our hope that in many cases these companies also become employers for our future graduates. So they support our work, they inform the curriculum, they inform the teaching methods and the content that you will get at the university. We also have a careers festival quite regularly. I don't know if you have attended that. Was that of interest? What was your experience there?
I think they have every year, there's a career fair. So in the main building, there's a bunch of booths with corporate partners, and you get to speak to current employees and employees who have graduated, as well as opportunities to coffee chat and network with alumni.
Very good.
And they also promote this to bring students not only into the corporate life, but also to give us an insight of the partnership that this university has. They also give away, which I think is a huge help for to attract us to go, there's like a passport thing going on, and you need to get stamps from the different corporate and companies that you can meet, and they encourage you to ask many questions, and whatever you feel you want to get inside of, you can, and feel free. There's a bunch of different companies from everything.
Very good. And we have a career service at the university who sort of form a bridge between the university and the world of work, and they offer a great number of services to help you prepare for your working life. Okay. Just a few numbers to give you a sense of our size. There is an overall student number there. This is important to know because some students want to specifically go to small universities because they want the very friendly touch, the very personal touch. And other students want to go to universities the size of cities. Well, we are somewhere in the middle with the 8,500 students, with our 4 buildings. They are not quite campuses. I mean, we have the main building, and then you will see some other pictures of other campus buildings. 3 of these buildings are quite close to each other on the Pest side of the bridge you saw in our opening picture, and the other building is on the other side of the Danube on the Gellért Hill. We also have an image of that coming up later. We also mention the dorms here. We have 4. They are not easy to get into. They are hugely oversubscribed, but I'll talk a little bit about accommodation when we get to that point. Yes, so here you can see, of course, the main building again in the middle, but on the right, or at least the way I see it on my right, is the C building, which is the building that we are currently sitting in. So there are many meeting rooms here, classrooms, auditoriums, and it also gives home to our library, which is a library, I think, preferred by many students from other universities in the city as well. I don't know why that is. Do you have some experience of this?
I have a lot of friends from other universities, from BME mainly, that come over to the library. It's open for other students from other universities as well. You just need to ask for your library card.
And why is it that they like to come here? Is it
is
it warmer in the winter?
I genuinely don't know, but I feel like it opens up later, I think, than other universities. Usually it's open until 8:30 or 9 during exam season, and that is a huge help because, for example, the Metropolitan one closes at 7:30.
Okay.
So that extra hour of study does help in some cases.
There you go. That's the excellence at Corvinus.
And I think also, I mean, I don't think this is unique to the Corvinus libraries, but one place that I really like to study in the library is I will rent a consultation room. And so basically you can book an entire room for yourself, which is great if you have job interviews or you just want, just be separated from other students for whatever purposes. So maybe that's a reason. I'm not sure.
I know, I'm aware that there are many medical students coming here to study because someone mentioned that they come with their skulls. And
I've seen that. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm here studying international relations and theory, and I'm seeing like the lung being drawn on I don't know, it's kind of crazy.
Okay, and this is the famous Gellért campus, which is, I think it was opened in February 2024, and apparently it's one of Hungary's most sustainable and state-of-the-art facilities. Again, there are classrooms, studios. I think there's a media suite with some serious equipment for students who are looking to study communications, for example. And also there are some rooms. So there is a dorm in one of the towers, but again, not the easiest to get into, perhaps. Yes, why not?
So yeah, this is one of the 4 dorms that are in Corvinus University, are part of Corvinus University, and they're very nice. They have a very nice view over to the city, huge kitchens, because in Hungary, dorms have kitchens. In other countries, they don't. But if you want to cook, you have the space to do so. And there's study rooms as well in this campus. And the other 3 dorms are, 2 of them are really, really close to university, to the main building and to the C building, which is key if you want to be close and don't spend a lot of time commuting to university if you get the chance. But that's also, and then there's a 4th room dorm that's a little bit further away, but it's also available for students.
Yes. And like I said, the dorms are a little bit oversubscribed, and luckily the university builds relationships with other accommodation providers. So on our website, under the accommodation tab, on the English version, you will find a whole list of alternative providers of accommodation with prices. And the good news is that those companies are actually checked out by our accommodation staff. So we only publish information that we know is reliable and is good quality. And my experience is that the city can take you. So, you know, as a recruiter, I hear horror stories about students trying to go to study in Holland, for example, you know, in the great cities of Amsterdam or Delft or Groningen. It's very hard, and Budapest seems to cope with the students for now. Very good. I actually mentioned this already. The point that we wanted to emphasize on this slide is that you really have the option to study with students from Hungary who are top achievers in their classes. So typically, Corvinus is the most difficult university to get into when you look at the Hungarian kind of national university entrance exam system. So it can be a privilege, it can be a challenge. What I also hear from students is that generally there is a very good level of English spoken by the Hungarian students. So you truly feel that you are in an international environment, but correct me if that's not the right perception. Okay. Right, let's talk a little bit about the programs that we offer. Really, in the diaspora program, I think we focus on the bachelor's and the master's program. And yes, we also welcome PhD students as part of the scheme. The preparatory program, I don't think is in it. So apologies if this is a little bit misleading. We focus on bachelor's and master's. And I would like to dedicate some time talking about what we require from our applicants during the admissions process, which is actually more or less the same, in fact, the same as what we require from self-funded students. Application documents, of course, are submitted through the Tempus-managed Dream Apply system, which our admission staff can view. And the admissions process involves, in some cases, a written exam, and in some cases, an oral interview, or in some cases, both of those. So at the bachelor's level, the BSc programs plus the PPE, the politics, philosophy, and the economy program require a maths exam, and then the two BA programs, which is the international relations and the communications and media science course, require an interview. The PP also requires an interview. So the PP is the one where both exams are required. Now, it's important to emphasize that the maths written exam can actually be waived if students come with certain qualifications. For example, if they bring us strong maths results, for example, from the British A-level system, or if they studied at an IB school and they bring certain results. So you can check all of those exemptions on our website. What's also important to emphasize is that we have an English language requirement. For bachelor students, we actually need evidence in the form of an official certificate, either from an IELTS or a TOEFL or a similar English test. Yet again, you will find the information on the Corvinus website, and you will also find the exemption list, because we have, again, IB or A-level English and those types of qualifications that you can use. And yes, I mean, if you are an American passport holder, then that's sufficient for a bachelor student to prove their
Or UK.
or UK, indeed, and some others. Now, at the master's level, we don't need evidence of English in the form of a formal certificate, but there are, again, entrance exams at so for certain courses, there is what we call an A-type exam, and for other courses there is a B-type exam. This simply means that some courses are more kind of quantitative or maths heavy, so there is a different kind of skill set needed for those. And then there are some courses where a more kind of creative lateral type thinking is required, and there is a different type of entrance exam for that. Now, as part of these exams, you actually need to operate at a very comfortable level in English. So that's one check that exists for your English language level. And of course, some of the programs also have an interview, an oral interview with a member of the program team, or two members actually, because they tend to be committees. So we take this very seriously at Corvinus. You also need to prove your English language ability as part of these interviews. Before I speak a little bit more as to what's required, I don't know if you want to come in and speak a little bit about what your experience was like.
Sure. So for me, for example, when I applied for my BA, I went through the whole process, and then I got an email from Corvinus saying that I needed to do an interview because I applied for the International Relations Bachelor's. And the interview was quite easy, I would say. It was 15 to 20 minutes, pretty easygoing. And yes, it's kind of like with a committee. I had 2-3 people interviewing me and asking me questions about why do I want to do this program, why am I interested in international relations, why Budapest, why this university. And at the end of it, everything came together to me having Hungarian roots and being Hungarian and wanting to pursue this further. and also connect both sides from my identity, like the Colombian one and the Hungarian one, and in the international relations field. And I think they really like that.
Very nice. What about you, Jennifer? How was your experience? And I think you actually had to provide an external maths test. And in that application period, that was the only way to apply to Corvinus, the GMAT, because now GMAT is a possibility, but we actually provide our own.
Okay, so it's an
written
internal
test. Yes, an internal one. It's also online,
right?
but it's our own, and you don't have to pay for it. So I'm sorry you had to
No problem.
that year.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I just applied and I didn't. So sorry to clarify, I'm doing my master's in marketing, and when I applied, I didn't have to do any interview, but I did have to do an entrance exam.
Oh, interesting.
So I did the GMAT, which I guess is now an internal exam that you can do through Corvinus. And one thing that I'll say about the application process is be patient. For me, I think June rolled around and I didn't know if I was accepted or not. And so I had to, like the timelines are very flexible. So just be patient, they will give you an answer.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that, about that timeline. So I also wanted to mention that for master students, there is also something called the credit recognition process, whereby our academic team check the content of your first degree and make sure that what you studied prepares you for what's ahead of you at the master's level. And amongst our master's programs, there are some, you can see the families, program families on this slide. We have many more courses than what we have listed here. So the numbers represent the number of programs within those families, program families. And some of those programs are 1-year courses and others are 2 years, 2-year programs. The difference being that the 1-year programs are much more specialized than the 2-year programs. So, for example, to come into a 1-year course in a certain subject area, you would have had to have a serious workload of credit in that specific subject area. With the 2-year programs, there is a little more flexibility. So if you haven't applied that yet and you are thinking about applying for a master's course, have a good look at the content, have a good look at the length of the course, and consider the credits that you achieved in your first degree to give yourself the best chance of meeting the credit requirements. So I just wanted to emphasize that the exams, the interviews were one part of the process. And I suspect this may have been one of the things why you had to wait patiently, Jennifer, because it's a complex process. We are trying to carry out the credit recognition a little bit earlier nowadays, so you don't have to wait for so long. So if we run through the timelines so the diaspora application period is it's open now, and I think it's the 2nd of February in the current cycle. And before I put together this presentation, I asked my colleagues in admissions to give me a few tips that I can share with you. And they emphasized that by the deadline, the application deadline, you really must upload all available documents required by the program. So why am I saying all available documents? Because if you are still at school or if you are still at university, you might not have your final certificate. That's okay, but you need to prepare a declaration, if I'm right, which explains, or where you explain why you haven't got that specific document yet and when it can be expected. And then you will be able to provide it at the time required. But I understand that if you, for example, forget to attach something that's already in your possession, you are in trouble. This is what my admissions team told me, that I really have to warn people that it's a serious matter, and it's very easy to suddenly not qualify to go forward with the process because the available documents that should be available are not there. Then, of course, the first thing that happens once you submit your application to the program is that there is a nomination period. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and what that involved. This is very much a tempus requirement. So you had to submit, I think, a motivation letter, and you had to submit a reference. So talk a little bit about that for us.
So the application process goes through the Tempus Diaspora Dream Apply website. Everything is through that. Like, you apply to both the scholarship and the university, the program of the university you want to enter, through the same application. You don't have to do two separates, it's just one. But to have the scholarship available, you need to provide a motivation letter of why do you want to come to Hungary and why specifically to this university program, but really focusing on your Hungarian heritage and what does it mean to you to come live in this country to pursue your studies. And also you need a recommendation letter from some Hungarian entity. It can be from Scouts, a Hungarian house, Hungarian, I don't know, Sunday school. But you have to be actively involved in some Hungarian community to be eligible for the scholarship as well.
Anything from your side?
Yeah, I guess
Jennifer?
just to reiterate what you were saying, Mari, just make sure to double check all of your documents for submission. Like, it really is just, you think it's such an easy task, but like all of the document requirements are on the web page. So just make sure to double check that before you send that in for submission.
Okay. Okay, so I was also informed that there used to be a requirement for a medical certificate to be uploaded at quite an early stage of the process. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yeah, it rings a bell, but I am also an EU citizen and a Hungarian citizen, and we don't have to go through the medical process. But I guess that if you don't hold a European passport, you do have to go through the medical. Do you know about that, Jennifer?
So I had to do the medical examination, and I think I just went to my GP and got it done. And I think there was one thing where I think there was one vaccine I couldn't get in the US, but it was fine because, like, when I entered Hungary, the diaspora requires that you have a medical examination within your first year.
Okay, so that happened, but from what I understand, there is a little concession now. You don't have to submit this medical thing as early anymore as you used to, only at the end of the process. So that's kind of nice because it takes out the stress. I understood from my colleagues in admissions that used to be really problematic and stressful for everybody on both sides, and luckily you can now focus on your entrance exams, which, by the way, for diaspora will take place in April. So it will be April time by the time you are invited in, but please inform yourselves about the courses and about the entrance requirements that they attract, including the exam information, because there are practice tests published on our website. So I don't want anyone to have a nasty surprise or a, you can find out about the content of the interviews if you follow the steps on our website under the admissions information. And don't be confused by the fact that we sometimes talk about self-funded students, because actually the requirements are the same for diaspora students as they are for self-funded students. It's just that it's a different scheduling. So for self-funded students, we have a rolling process, whereas for the scholarship applicants, it's always April that we put you through the system, and then you find out the results maybe May time, but then you only find out in June whether you are given the scholarship or not by Tempus. And this is where I really want to emphasize what the slide here says, that if for some reason you don't get the scholarship, but you have met the university's requirements, then of course we are very happy to have you as a self-funded student, and we can give you a 20% discount of the first year's tuition fees, so first and second semester as well. That's a nice little fallback just in case. Okay, I think we have discussed the core of the matter here in relation to process, and we gave you a few tips and advice. Maybe just a couple of words about the fact that there is plenty to do, of course, in the city, but also at the university. There are many student organizations, many clubs and societies, sports, classes that you can attend. I don't know, ladies, do you do anything that you might want to mention either at the university or outside of the uni?
I mean, I can start, I think, with the Diaspora program. They give you so many extracurricular opportunities almost every month. I think the most recent event was an ice skating event. So I guess to speak on that, like the diaspora community, is really close knit, and I think it's because we have these regular extracurricular events.
Yes.
I'm actually part of the body that organizes these events. You can be part of the organizing team in Diaspora after your first year of university or your program. And it's a lot of fun. There is always something going on almost every 2 weeks. Bigger, smaller trips, also bigger and smaller events, like the ice skating event was one of the bigger ones, but there was also like a Christmas handcraft event last week as well, to just like get involved in the diaspora community here and get to know each other. And also the university offers a lot of different clubs. I was part of the diplomacy club, and I was really interested in that as an international relations student. And also I might say that the new sports center in Gallit is really nice. I've been there only a few times, but I wish I could go more often. Right now I can't because it's a little bit further away from me, but it is really nice. Like, definitely you should check it out if you do some kind of sports.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, well, I think the next slide, oh yes, we've covered accommodation, I think, elsewhere, which is great. So we have really come to the end of the presentation now. So I'm just going to take a quick look at whether we have received any specific questions. I can see Balázs asking about Switzerland. I actually don't know the answer.
Yes,
So Switzerland qualifies. Hooray! We have the answer from an insider. But do double check, please, on the Tempus website as well, and in the scholarship information pack. I also wanted to highlight that Tempus run their own webinars. I think they already delivered one in November, and they are planning one for January as well. So I'm sure that there you will have a lot more detailed info about the nitty-gritty of the application process and the timelines and the technical elements. What we really wanted to do here today is to give you a flavor of life at Corvinus. So I'm really grateful to Jennifer and Andy for joining me. We have very nice. We have a thank you from Balázs. So, and are the two of you, here we go, so this is a question to you. Are the two of you participating in a Hungarian language and culture course? Very important question for students who are already kind of fluent in Hungarian. Is the course tailored? So go for it.
Okay, so this question is not for Corvinus. Corvinus does not offer a Hungarian language and culture course because that is from a different institution. That it's not a university, that's the Balassi Institute. And I was actually part of that course. It's a 10-month course, but this is not what we're meant to be doing here right now. However, there is within the Diaspora Scholarship, there is a language requirement for Hungarian. And I am fluent in Hungarian. I have a C1 level of Hungarian accredited by the European Council of Languages. And you do need some kind of proof that you speak Hungarian to some extent, depending on how many years your program is. Mine is 3 years, so I'm required a minimum of a B1 level of Hungarian, but I have a C1 level, so I don't need to do classes that Corvinus provides for students to get better at Hungarian.
Jennifer, any comments on the language requirement and element of the program?
Yeah, I came in not knowing how to speak Hungarian, and so I would definitely say that the courses are tailored to your level of Hungarian ability. So right now I'm in an A1 class, and it's mostly diaspora students. So like a lot of us can some of us can speak the language but can't write, and then like for me, I didn't know how to speak or write the language before.
But you do that here, right?
Yes,
so there is a
within
basic
the
language
Yes.
course. It's not so much a whole package kind of language and culture
No.
that Balázs was asking. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, köszönöm szépen
Szívesen.
a hölgyeknek, és köszönöm szépen a résztvevőknek. Thank you for joining us. I really hope that we will see some applications from you very soon. And I would love to have you here with me in September. And I hope that your application will be successful. And all the very best. Még egyszer köszönjük a részvételt, és viszontlátásra!